Hi, welcome to LJ's How To. I'm LJ, and in this video I'm going to go over the 300 plus Jackery solar generator. Okay, just got this, and what I'm even more excited about is the panel, the solar panel. And here, it's about the size of a notebook, and it will easily fit inside a backpack like this. And even the generator will fit right in. It's got a little weight. I don't know if I'd go on a real long backpacking trip, but just to show you how portable this set is. Yeah, and I even got some other stuff in here, but it goes right in the backpack, and of course you would add the charging cables and such to it, and they come with the bags. So that is a little example on how portable this setup is. All right, I'm also going to compare it to what I've had for a few months and I've taken it camping and some job sites, is the 240. And this is the older one. You can tell right away it has the fixed handle compared to the flip out handle on the 300 plus, and it's flat. You can put stuff on top of it. But let's focus on the new items, and that's the 300 plus and the solar panel that goes with it, 40 watts. All right, let's get going. Okay, let's talk about how to connect the 40 watt Solar Saga panel. So on the back you see this little nub sticking out, and there is a little rubber gasket that you can pull out. And that is where the connector goes in. It looks like this. Looks extremely proprietary. And it looks like it'll only slide in one way. If you look at the connector, there's a little notch on this side and nothing on that side. So I'll move it around a bit. That's the notch, that's not the notch, and there's a dead on. Okay, so we're gonna have to, let's see, it looks like the notch is on the solar side. So that'll slide in there, and now we're connected. Okay. And we'll leave this open just for demonstration purposes. Kind of cloudy out today, but I'm going to test that outside soon. Let's look at the connectors. Okay, so we have this 40 watt solar panel connected. Now let's go over the three different types of connectors they have. Okay, so we have the 8020, and it has the 7909 adapter on it that fits like that. And this would be used for the 240, the 300, the regular ones. And that would go right here. Okay, and is detecting some sort of input. On some panels you would use the 8020s. And then for this, the Plus series, it's a USB-C in and out, which is odd. Now here they give you the separate USB adapter, and this goes on the 7909, and it has a little rubbery thing actually to fit over here so you don't lose it, which I would recommend doing quickly. And right off the bat, I'm a little nervous about this breaking off from here, because it's just, it has a lot of leverage to really do some damage, because it sticks out probably about 2.5 inches, and it looks like it's easy to step on or kick into, as opposed to the 7909 sticking in the 240, which looks like it'd be extremely hard to break this. even if you kick it a few times. It's nice and tight in there. All right, so let's go back to this USB-C. Not crazy about this. I would really like to see Jackery go back to the 7909 input on the Plus series. There's also a Wi-Fi app that we're going to go over with this, and a few of the other features. All right, let me just show you the display panel when it's plugged into AC. We're starting at 29%, and we're going to see how long this takes to charge via AC from 29% of display. All right, we're at 100%. So I'd say a little over an hour and 10 minutes maybe, or an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 10 minutes to charge from, I think, 20-something%. So there you go. All right, so we're gonna lay that down. We're gonna stick the USB port. Now again, like I mentioned before, I don't like everything hanging on this. There's a little skinny piece of metal USB, but see, I want to make sure there's no tension on this, so I'm going to plug this in and make sure there's not that much pull on the wire. I'll hang it, and we're showing 26 watts, 22. Not too sure if you can see that. I'll see if I can cover it. 24 watts, 26 watts, and yeah, pretty close. All right, so we have it aligned pretty decently. Has 40-watt panel. Let's see if we can get a reading on this. And 29, 30. 31 we got up to. Okay, hanging around 30. There we go. Okay, so I folded the panel. 2 panels behind, there's only 2 exposed. And let's see what kind of reading we are getting here. And 0 watts, which I believe it's probably getting something. But it shows 0. It's not happy about that, so probably not advised to fold the panel in half and expect much out of it. All right, so let's do another test, and let's just lay it flat out on the parking lot. Okay, it's not directly pointing towards the sun, but the sun is hitting it. A lot of people are probably going to use it this way. They may lay it out on a picnic bench or the roof of that car or something. They don't have to worry about propping it up. Let's see what kind of wattage we get. And we're around 16, 17. So having it directly facing makes a considerable difference. So shaves off maybe about 10 or 12 watts. Okay. And man, it'd be nice if you guys can actually see this display. I'm not too sure until I start editing this. So that's why I'm saying the wattage out loud. We're at 19 watts now. Okay, so we got the 40-watt panel plugged in on a 240. It's laying against the 80-watt, which is actually plugged into the 300 plus. And anyway, so we got 30 watts coming out of the 40-watt panel into the 240. Let's see now, 3:53 p.m. New York Eastern Standard Time. So let's move on. And that's the other thing I like about this, is rated for rain also. So if you left this at your campsite and it got wet, it would be okay, according to the claim of Jackery. All right, so let's look at the app that comes with the Jackery 300 Plus, and I imagine it works on all the Plus series. So I'm gonna open it up, and when you first set everything up, you'll hit the plus sign, and enter all the information. It'll look for it via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So I set it up for both, but let's just put Bluetooth on. All right, now you actually need the unit to be on. As far as I know, it does not wake. But what I'm gonna do is, let's see, let's select it and see if we can activate the panel or the light, and no. So we're gonna press this to power it on. And when you first power it on, the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth will light up. Let's select it again on the app and see if it lines up, and there you go, see? So the app is pretty simple. It'll show you input and output wattage. It'll show you the capacity it's currently at. It allows you to put the light on remotely. And let's turn it on. Sometimes it takes a little while for it to respond. You may have to hit it twice. It has the SOS, that's kind of annoying. And then you have the screen that you can set it to stay on for 2 hours, 2 minutes, or off. We're just going to hit off and see if the panel does not light up. You're getting a little circle thing there, so it's kind of like it takes 2 activations. So what else? Here on the app, in the settings menu, it let's see, you can edit the device name, you can put it in energy saving mode, you can do an auto, let's see, the auto time off. It has firmware upgrade options, and let's see, and I think that's about it. There could be a few other things. Now let's talk about another option. You can use the 300 plus as a UPS, universal power supply, so kind of like a backup. So say I wanted to hook up my computer system to the generator to be used as the UPS, and I have a blackout, the power's out for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, who knows how long. This will get you a certain amount of time. So what you would do is have everything plugged into this. Obviously, I would need a power strip to plug in the monitor and my computer and any needed accessories. And then you would plug this unit in to AC. So this has to be plugged into AC, and what that does is give AC priority. And if the power goes out, it switches within 20 milliseconds. I don't know if that's enough for this to stay active. The computer, some devices are sensitive and they need immediate switching, but I think they say 20 milliseconds when you're using this as a UPS. Okay, so now let's look at the differences. Now again, I'm using the 240 to compare it to the 300 plus, but the 240 is extremely similar to the 300, the regular 300. I think the regular 300 has an extra outlet, and it may be an inch or so wider in one dimension, maybe a touch heavier, not that much, but it's almost the duplicate of the 240 with a little bit more power. So both have an AC outlet. Now, interestingly enough, this has this little side cutout for a 20 amp plug. Usually 20 amp plugs or outlets will have this for a 20 amp plug, but I can't imagine this powering anything that's going to require 20 amps. Yet it's pretty interesting that they did put it there. You have the power buttons to activate each output individually. All right, so let's look at the other outputs. All right, so we have 2 USB-A on the older, and you just have 1 on the 300 plus. Now, I know USB-C is the newest thing out there, but there's just so many people, including me, that have wall adapters like this that are USB-A, and I have a zillion of these for home. The car adapters, I have all the A's. And one of the big things about the C's, though, is they allow more power output. So you can buy wall adapters like this that put out way more wattage and it charges your phone like an iPhone a lot faster for fast charging. That's one of the reasons why we're switching to USB-C. In addition to that, it's faster data, but that has nothing to do with this. Faster data transfer. So anyway, it would be nice if they had 2 USB-A's on the Plus. They don't. They have 1 USB-C for out, and they have 1 for in and out, and that's where you would plug in your solar charger or the car adapter, right? It has the cigarette lighter adapter on both of these. Now the panel is a bit different. It's wider on the new one, but it's harder to see outside. As you saw in my demo, when they were sitting on the car, you can barely see this. Now some of it had to do with the camera and the frame rate, but it was way dimmer than the panel on the older unit. Plus the input and the output digits are smaller. They're a bit larger here in addition to the capacity. So, and the only other thing different is they have a colored circle here compared to this is just all monotone. All right, this has a light and the older one doesn't. Moving on, we're gonna look at the AC power. Now the AC power for this is different. They give you a really thick cord to plug in the side, and it's almost like something you would use for an electronic device at home, and that plugs right in here, and that's how you would power it AC wise, which means they have to put the transformer in here as opposed to the brick that comes with the 240, and I imagine also the 300. The transformer is an external, and that makes this a little bit lighter by itself. Now I forgot about this when it comes to transporting this in your backpack. If you wanted to bring your AC adapter, it's going to add a little bit more weight, but then again, if you're camping, you really wouldn't need this. Another quick note about this, it's a really thick wire, and most of it's insulation because it's 14 gauge, but from the looks of the wire it looks like it would be 12 gauge, but definitely I don't think you would need 12 gauge for this, actually this rather. All right, so and then if you look at the handle, this is a flip up handle as opposed to the fixed handle on this Jackery. So what may be nice about this is you can put stuff on top of it or stack a couple of units if you had a couple of them and you wanted to use them both. All right, as far as the quietness, they both have fans that come on when you're drawing power from this, but I did measure them. It's really not that important for me, especially if I'm using it outdoors. Okay, so let's move on to the pros and cons about the new Jackery versus this, and then after this I'm going to get on to the panel itself, the 40 watt. All right, so let's talk about the pros, the things I like about the Jackery 300 Plus. It's the new battery technology that lasts so much longer. If you charge this every 3 days, as claimed on the website, it should last about 10 years. As far as charging cycles, the Jackery 300 Plus has a claimed 3,000. They did first put 1,500 on the site, and now it's moved to 3,000. And I think there is also another area where they said 4,000. So I'm not too sure exactly what it's supposed to be, but let's just stick with the 3,000. It's a newer type of battery technology, and this new type of battery, at least for Jackery, is a lithium iron phosphate, and you'll see it indicated on the website, such as a LiFePO4. So that's what gives this more charge cycles. On the one more thing about the pros. Okay, so let's see, there's the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth and the ability to control from my phone. That's really not a big one for me. kind of like on the fence about that, so I might throw that in as a pro. And the ability to set the screen to stay on for either a few minutes or a couple of hours or the whole day. That's nice with the pros. So let's talk about the cons and the things I don't like. And the biggest one is having to use a USB-C to plug in as an input. It's just so precarious and easy to knock down and bend or perhaps even break off the connector. Now the only other way I think around this is to buy a cord that is a USB-C that's appropriately made that goes to a cord and then something to plug into this. This weight is very little sticking out of this. But separate from that, I would like to see a 7909 input in here instead of this. So this is the biggie. The second thing I do not like is this does not come with a car charger. Now this car charger came with my 240 and it will work with this if I use the adapter. So if you wanted to charge this in your car, you would have to either have something like this left over from another unit if you're replacing something, or buy a cigarette lighter adapter that would work for the car. Okay, so that's the another thing I don't like about it. Let's see, the third thing is only having one USB port as compared to two on the 240 or the 300. Okay, the last thing that really bugs me about this, and you were able to see this when I was demonstrating hooking up the panels to this, is this is extremely hard to see in the daylight, especially compared to the older display on my 240. And I think they have to work to improve that. I wouldn't mind if they went back to the old panels on this. So I think this is due for a redesign. It's really new. They just released it. All right, so let's talk about the 40-watt panel, which is my favorite part of the package, the 300 Plus, because it came with this. And that's one of the big reasons why I purchased the 300 Plus, because it came with this 40-watt panel that's extremely portable. As you saw before, I was able to stick it in my backpack very easily. And it's 40 watts of rated power, although you see that I got about 31 out of it. And that is part of the negatives. The other negative is there's nothing to stand this on. There's no built-in stand on the panel, so you'll always have to lean it on something. If you lay it flat, as you saw in my demonstration, it severely cuts down on the power. Another part I don't like is you have to buy the 300 Plus in order to get the 40-watt panel, and I'm hoping they'll start to sell these separately. And another possible negative is if you're thinking that why not get two of these to equate having an 80-watt system instead of having an 80-watt dual-sided, I sent an email to tech support on Jackery and asked them if I'd be able to combine these two into the generator, and they said no. So I'm just wondering if I should try it myself, get some sort of Y adapter, plug it in, and see if we can get, something close to 80 watts cooking. And I think that would be really cool, because it's so much easier to have two of these transporting instead of that big 80-watt dual-sided panel that you saw in my review. So anyway, all right, so that wraps up my review of the Jackery 300 Plus Solar Saga 40 watt. I don't know if it's technically called the Saga. I'm not too sure if I saw Saga in there. But if you like that, I also have a review on the Jackery 80-watt dual-sided, and that gets sunlight from both sides. The back is a reflector, but I have that teamed up with a 240, and I test that on a Brooklyn street corner to see how well that would work, in addition to sunlight coming in from the window. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it if you give a thumbs up and a subscribe. Take care.